Hello, everyone out there. My name is Stacy Garrels, and I'm a mom of two kiddos, and I'm in Minnesota. My daughter Margot is 3, my son Henry is 1, and today we're going to talk about college savings and what we can do to start saving up for college now, because if you've seen what the tuition forecasts look like for 15, 20 years out, it's pretty scary. And I'm here today from Upromise to speak to Derek DiLorenzo, and he's going to be answering some common questions that you, our members, have about saving for college and 529 plans in general. Derek is our Senior Director of 529 programs, so maybe you've seen him on social media like Facebook or Twitter, just sharing helpful tips with you about how you can maximize your college savings. And he's really just a wealth of knowledge. He's got over 20 years of experience launching and marketing 529 college savings plans. And today he's going to be here to specifically to discuss California's ScholarShare college savings plan. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning, Stacy. It's great to be here today. I know you've mentioned that you have 2 young children. I actually have 3 of my own children. They are on the older side of the spectrum, though. My daughter Caroline is a senior, about to start her senior year in college. Megan is about to start her freshman year in college, and Alex is a junior in high school. So I am on the using, partly still saving and partly now using $529 to help pay for college.
Wow, those are some kids close together in age. That is a big hit for funding all that college at once.
Well, fortunately, I started early.
Just to start us off, some members are very familiar, some members less so, and they're just starting to learn about 529 plans. What can you tell us about what a 529 savings plan is and how it's different from other savings tools?
Sure. So a 529 savings plan is an investment product that was designed exclusively to help families save for college. They are 529 plans. They're issued by states, which seems a little odd, but they are
Mhm.
issued by states, and they provide federal and state tax benefits like tax deferred growth and tax-free withdrawals as long as you're using the money to pay for qualified education expenses. All of these savings are designed to encourage people um, to to save for college.
And looking specifically at the California 529 plan, how is that plan different from other states? And do you have to be a California resident in order to enroll in that plan?
For starters, the California 529 plan is called the ScholarShare College Savings Plan. You'll often see it just as ScholarShare 529. It's been around since 1999, has almost $12 billion in savings and over 350,000 accounts. This is a big plan. It's been around for a long time. It's a good big plan.
Mhm.
Um, in regards to minimums and maximums, there is no minimum to open the account,
Mhm.
so participants can invest whatever they feel comfortable with. Um, and in regards to investment options, they have a number of low-cost investment options to choose from as well. High-quality, low-cost investment options. And in regards to maximum, uh, the way maximum works in a 529 plan is specific to ScholarShare. Once you have over $529,000 in your account, the money can continue to grow beyond that, but you just can't make any more contributions.
So you can still keep getting the interest or the ROI, but you just can't put any more funds in there,
That's right.
right? So if it's an investment plan, then can a 529 plan lose money?
It certainly is possible to lose money in a 529 plan. Fortunately, ScholarShare has investment options for people of every risk level. So whether you're an aggressive person who's comfortable with some volatility in the markets and you may be down a little bit, but the opportunity is over the long term, you'll be ahead. They've got those types of investment options, and they also have very conservative products as well. One of the most conservative is a principal plus interest product, and that's designed to be very, very low risk, lower rate of return, but it is at least a safe rate of return product.
Okay, so then if I'm understanding you, I sign up for a 529 plan, I sign up for ScholarShare, I fund it with whatever I'm able to do. And then from there, there's a portfolio and I can select different products in there based on how much I'm willing to risk or how conservative I want to be.
That's correct. So there are quite a few different investment options, also known as portfolios.
Mhm.
And you, the investor, get to decide, or you, the account owner, get to decide what the investment should be inside the program.
And then, certainly I want to, if I were to set up the 529 plans for my kids, I would want to fund them. But can other family members put funds in there too? How does that work? Do they just have to give me like envelopes of cash and somehow I need to transfer it into a bank account and get it in there? So how is it set up so that other family members can contribute?
Sure. So fortunately, anyone can contribute to your child's ScholarShare account.
Okay.
Um, Now, how you get that money is up to you. How you get the money from friends and family is up to you.
Mhm.
Um, I would tell you that it is highly encouraged to help save through friends and family,
Mhm.
especially on special occasions, celebrations, birthdays, holidays, things of that nature. Um, ScholarShare, to make the process a lot easier for friends and family to gift, ScholarShare actually has a gifting platform. It's called Ugift. And the way that Ugift works is you have the ability to go in as the account owner. You can go in,
Mhm.
you can put in email addresses of friends and family, and ultimately what you're doing is sending them an email with a link that allows them to go in and set up contributions from their bank account into your child's ScholarShare account. And they can do that as one-time contributions or as automatic contributions over some time period.
Have you sent out the Ugift link to family and friends to solicit funds for your kids' college 529 savings plans?
Oh, I absolutely have. What I have done is I've used a UGift code, and it's what my mother uses to put money into my children's 529 plans on each Christmas and each birthday.
Excellent. So hopefully my family, if I set it up, they are equally receptive. Now, just thinking more about impacts of 529 plans and giving and things like that. I've heard that 529 plans are going to hurt your financial aid availability. That's certainly a big fear that my husband has. He thinks that our children will get no financial aid or less financial aid if we set up and fund a 529 plan. Is this true?
Well, you're asking a very common question, and it is true that savings ultimately will impact financial aid. Fortunately, what happens with 529 plans is that if you set them up with a parent as the owner and a child who's ultimately going to be the beneficiary, the one who's going to go to school at some point, um,
Mhm.
with that structure, there's actually less financial aid impact than if you were saving for the money in your child's name altogether. And the reason for that is it's counted as a parent asset versus money in your child's savings or checking account or an UGMA account that is considered the child's asset and gets hit at a much higher rate in regards to federal financial aid.
If I have a 529 plan for my daughter Margot, let's say I've got $10,000 in there. So if it's in my name, it'll count against her less. But if she's got $10,000 in her name, it will impact her financial aid a lot more because she'll be expected to contribute all of it or a lot more of it towards her tuition and her college expenses.
That's
Uh,
exactly right. And then
Okay.
the other thing I want you to understand, and what I want most people to understand, is when you start talking about financial aid, the majority of financial aid is provided through loans. Okay, so it's not one for one, dollar that you don't ever have to pay for college.
Mhm.
Primarily, it's subsidized loans. And when you look across the industry and across people saving for college, over the long term, saving even small amounts of money in ScholarShare
Mhm.
is going to be better than borrowing those same dollars in the future.
Ah, no, that makes sense. Certainly, that's a goal to help my kids get through school debt free or without too much debt. Now, let's say that my kids are really lucky and they get a full ride to school for sports or for academics. My husband was a National Merit Scholar. He tells me about it every evening. And he thinks if our kids just work hard, they can be National Merit Scholars too. Lightning is going to strike twice and then three times, and that will be great. We don't have to pay anything. So if that does happen and they're National Merit Scholars, what happens with all the funds that we set aside? Do we lose them?
So you don't lose those funds. The first thing I want to say though is your husband is very interesting. He is convinced that the children are all going to get scholarships, but he's also concerned about financial aid impact. So this is excellent. He's a very interesting person. Um,
He is, yes.
um, Getting a full scholarship, by the way, is a very rare and is an amazing accomplishment. And
Mhm,
and to anyone who's ever had that opportunity, it's wonderful, and I feel great for them. Um, if you do receive, even if it's a partial scholarship, um, you still have a number of options of what you can do with the money that's in your ScholarShare account. First of all, you can transfer it. So if it's your daughter Margot who got the scholarship, and there's money in her ScholarShare account that's not needed, you can always transfer that to your son's
mhm,
ScholarShare account. Um, you can also just take the money back. You're allowed to withdraw the amount of the scholarship, and you can just take that money back. You will have to pay taxes on the earnings, though. So where before the plan was growing tax deferred and comes out tax
mhm.
free for qualified education expenses, if you're taking it out for a scholarship, you do have to pay taxes on the earnings. Um,
Ah,
the other option is to just leave the money in the account. You never know if Margot wants to use that money for grad school or needs to use that money for grad school or some other education in the future. And if you're really thinking long term, you can always leave that money in her ScholarShare account and use it for her children um, sometime down the road as well.
yeah, and there's the possibility where Margot won't even go to college, right? Or Henry won't even go to college either. So if they don't go to college, what happens to those funds? We have to wait for grandchildren to use them, or what's the setup there?
Well, it is very similar to what we just discussed with the scholarships. So you can certainly transfer money to another family member. And I know I used the example of Margot and Henry earlier, but family member goes out as far as first cousins. So it doesn't just have to be in your direct family. It can go out to cousins as well. You can also just withdraw the money, as we discussed. Now, if you're withdrawing the money for non-college reasons, um,
Mhm.
then there is a penalty. So similar to taking money out of a retirement plan before you reach retirement age, there is a penalty. Plus, you'll have to pay taxes on the earnings for taking the money out and not using it for college expenses. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can always just leave the money in the account. You don't always have to wait for a grandchild. Sometimes children, lots of different children have lots of different paths through their education experience. So what may not be a college education starting at 18 may become a college education that starts at 26. So you just never know.
This is true. And then you were saying that funds can go towards college expenses. Can you talk more about that briefly? What's considered a college expense for which 529 plans can be used or applied?
Sure. So for all 529 plans, you have what it's the technical term is qualified higher education expenses.
Okay.
And it's a very fancy way of saying tuition, room and board, uh, fees, textbooks, computers, anything that you need to actually attend and perform at college. What it does not include are things like transportation. So if you were to buy your child a car, that does not count as a qualified educational expense. My oldest daughter is in California, so our flights back and forth do not count as qualified education expenses. Um, but really, it's the things that you need to go to get your education.
I've heard that you can also use 529 plans to fund other education or other learning online or in classroom that's not related to college. Is this true? And can you talk to us about this?
It is true. In the past few years, there have been some legislative changes that have allowed 529 plans to expand beyond college expenses. So you can actually use up to $10,000 to help fund K through 12 private education.
Mhm.
You can also use up to $10,000 to help pay for vocational school requirements. And you can also use up to $10,000 to help pay off student loans as well. So the products has become a little bit more flexible, but keep in mind those are tens of thousands of dollar options versus the tens and hundreds of $1,000 options for actually helping to pay for college education as well.
So in addition to paying for college and qualifying expenses related to college, funds can also go to like vocational school, um, online learning, other training or job training or things like that. Is that right?
That is correct. And what I would tell you is plan by plan, take a look at the program description for each of those for the 529 plan program to see if there are any tax consequences to using even whether it's vocational school or student loans or K through 12 education expenses.
What's the best time to start saving for college and opening a 529 plan, whether it's ScholarShare or a plan for a different state? I mean, look at my son now, Henry. He's not even one yet. That's next month. So should I wait till he's in kindergarten and we're more in the throes of learning?
I would tell you to start immediately. You cannot start too soon, and you can't start too late, to be honest, saving for your child's education. As we mentioned earlier, every amount that you can save is going to be very helpful
Mhm.
to help them get living their college dreams.
Other than starting early and putting funds in there, what can I do to get the most out of my 529 plan? Assuming, well, for me especially, I want to be hands off. I don't want to have to like research stocks and bonds and derivatives and terms that I don't necessarily understand and have to be really active, but I still want to get the best performance out of it as possible.
Like so many other people who are engaged in 529 and college savings. Um, for starters, I would tell you to utilize all the tools that ScholarShare has to offer. So,
Okay.
for example, on the investing side, as I mentioned, they've got those year to enrollment portfolios.
Mhm.
They are designed to allow professional managers to determine how much stock, how much fixed income should be inside the portfolios. And as I mentioned earlier, they become more and more conservative as your child gets closer to school age. Um, Beyond that, take a look at automatic funding potential. Okay, so whether it's from your bank account on a monthly basis or from your payroll direct deposit, those are great services that ensure that you are getting money on a systematic basis into your 529 plan. Um, Always add additional funds when it's available. And I know it's an easy thing to say, but there are times where you're getting bonuses. There are times when there are lifestyle changes. Your child is no longer in a paid daycare and is now in school, in a public school. There's extra savings there that you can
Don't
always
tell
put
me
towards.
that, Derek. I had those funds for when they're out of daycare earmarked towards like redoing our kitchen and our bathrooms, but you're probably right.
It's you have a lot of difficult decisions to make there. Um, and
Definitely.
as and as I mentioned, the gifting platforms like Ugift, if you set those up for birthdays and holidays, you'd be surprised at how happy people are to help you and your children save for college. Um, at the end of the day, even a program like Upromise, which is a free program
Mhm.
where you can get cash back rewards for everyday purchases, um, those are tens and potentially hundreds of dollars that can get into your 529 plan each year. And every dollar really does count.
Definitely. No, that makes a lot of sense. Something I'm thinking about right now is you talk about putting in extra lumps or surpluses of funds. I'm thinking like tax returns, COVID relief funds, things like that, when we just have extra piles of cash that come our way. Just infrequent, but that's a good time to fund up. Um,
Exactly.
do you have any additional tips for us? What else do you think that you promise members or parents and family need to know about saving for college in general?
I always tell people to keep college savings as simple as possible.
Mm.
When you're thinking about what 529 plan to open up account in, I say to look at your home state first. Okay, chances are, and there's a very strong chance that that can be the end of the research that you need to do on 529 plans.
Hmm.
Start funding your account as early as possible. And I know I sound like a broken record. It is never too early and it's never too late. Um, Utilize monthly contributions. Invite friends and family to participate through programs like Ugift that in the ScholarShare program. And as I mentioned already, signing up for Upromise.
Mhm.
It's free. It's cashback rewards. It's everyday spending that you're already going to do, and those contributions go directly to your 529 plan account. And if you are fortunate enough to have a Upromise Mastercard, That is, with a linked 529 plan, that's up to 1.529% of every purchase that you make is coming back into your 529 plan. So as we approach back to school time, use your shopping to help fund your 529 plan.
No, got it. I like that. And I'd much rather have the funds go towards my college savings, my kids' college savings, more than getting like airline miles that I can't really redeem properly, or even it's even better than getting cash back, I think, because I think ultimately I just end up spending it, right? Because for me, it's like $18 here, $5 there, and somehow it finds its way out the door right away. But I like the idea of it getting tucked away into a 529 plan. And I can let you all know that right now, if you are new to Upromise and you sign up, there is a bonus of $5.29. Keeping 529 there at the forefront. And there's an added bonus. This I did not get when I signed up. It is an added bonus now, so it's a good deal, where you can get $25 when you sign up and you link your child's 529 plan. So essentially, Upromise is going to get you started saving for college by giving you $30 or $30.29 for free. So you can head over to Upromise, that is Promise, upromise.com. Thanks a lot for speaking with us today, Derek.
My pleasure. Thank you, Stacy.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.